If no one takes action in the next 2 years, half of the world's wealth will vanish. Doing nothing will result in the complete loss of everything for the 1 billion people living in a developed economy that is about to collapse. An energy-efficient digital currency network that you have access to, where it is impossible to corrupt, and where you retain physical control over your money and financial energy would be ideal. Indeed, doubts do exist. Our species has never before created something of its kind. A first, however, it's not brand new, it's 11 or 12 years old. Without intervention in the next 2 years, the world's economies would collapse, the dollar will fall in value, and the worth of every person's wealth will plummet to almost nothing. In this case, Michael Saylor thinks Bitcoin is the best protection. He calls on all investors to put some of their money into Bitcoin and explains its basics in his video. In his proposal to replace the current fiat currency system with Bitcoin, Saylor argues that the latter can offer more independence and stability in the face of inflation and government monetary policy. Fundamental to Bitcoin are the principles of energy conservation and the laws of thermodynamics. Going forward 250 years, 50 years, 10 years, 10 years, or any amount of time you want, if I invest $1 million in the network in 2020, I will still have that same amount of money scaled up perfectly linearly for economic growth, and nobody will have stolen it. Transferring the same quantity of energy into a dollar will result in a loss of 99% of that energy. Over the next century, or perhaps 10 or 15 years, the Federal Reserve and fractional reserve bankers will steal it from you. You should expect to lose most, if not all, of the energy when you connect that to a gold network. 90% will go in mining costs, and the remaining 10% will most likely disappear when the bank you deposited money into is confiscated during a regime change. You would have lost all of your financial energy in 95 of the top 100 cities in the globe throughout the last century due to hostile regime changes. So Bitcoin is important because, unlike any other monetary system on Earth, you can take a portion of monetary energy and store it on a network where no one can take it from you against your will, and no one can debase or inflate it away via a political decree. One alternative is that you are given the option, as pointed out by Ross Stevenson, you have the option of adopting the fiat standard, which allows others to print an infinite amount of money but not you. In the Bitcoin standard, no one including you has the power to create new units of currency. Consider your options. There are 2 possible worlds, one in which complete strangers can steal your money and assets without your knowledge or consent, and another in which no one can do any of those things. Do you get to decide? So that's the first call. Just so you know, it is correct. How come this is more? The rules of thermodynamics apply to everyone who lives in the cosmos. Neither the creation nor the destruction of energy, mass, or currency is within your purview. This stuff can be conserved. No amount of jumping will help. There can't be a universe where one person can run at superhuman speeds and kill everyone while the other person can't, can there? In that universe, the rules of thermodynamics apply to each of you equally. But in the realm of fiat, there's this one person who, on a whim, can take 1 billion people's labors and run with them. Meanwhile, there's someone else who can't, who can have their vitality drained and become a pauper. For those who inhabit a fiat world, that is their everyday reality. Which world would a scientist, engineer, reasonable thinker, or just plain old person want to live in? It's quite obvious. As a thermodynamically sound being, you would prefer to reside in a truthful and honest universe. When Bitcoin skeptics get down to brass tacks, they should ask themselves why they would cast doubt on a monetary system that relies on the same principles of thermodynamics that God uses to control the cosmos. The energy of money is monetary. The pinnacle of all energies is monetary energy. The transformation of kinetic, potential, nuclear, electrical, and even mass energy into usable form is within my capabilities, is it not? Yes, I am capable of transforming any substance into energy. I am able to turn any material into energy and profit from it. I can transform $100 million in electricity into $1 million in cash, and that is wealth. I have $100 million worth of energy and am a wealthy person. I am willing to accept 100 million bucks. I can transform it into an army of 5,000 men armed with machine guns, send them charging forward, harness their kinetic and chemical energies, and cause mayhem. Is I right? Money, then, is wealth. Cash is power. Energy is preserved in the end. I can see it everything. Feel free to use it any way you like. The way people focus their efforts is entirely up to them. Making Amazon and delivering individuals can be a good use of your energy. Make your own Netflix. Your generosity can be used to endow a park. As an example, I happen to have a strong interest in environmental protection. Landscaping is something I enjoy. The sight of a neglected and overgrown park in the midst of Naples always shocks me. It breaks my heart. Thus, I am also cognizant of the fact that it incurs monetary expenditure. Maintaining a park requires a substantial amount of money. The forestry itself isn't inexpensive. It is something you must consistently strive for. It is possible to endow a university, isn't it? We are a nonprofit foundation that runs a website close to Saylor Academy and provides free college tuition to deserving individuals. At last count, there were 700,000 persons, and our ultimate aim is to provide free education to all people forever. Well, I must say, that is quite intriguing. Effort is required, isn't it? It demands effort. I need you to design the classes. The courses need to be hosted by you. Politics is something you'll have to face. Accreditation by ACE requires you to follow certain steps. We are currently pursuing accreditation to award specific degree programs. It demands greater stamina. People need to be paid to do things, so money is merely energy, and you have complete control over how you use it. The principles held by those who possess the energy determine its final destination, don't you think? I thought politicians had some say over some wealth? So they can build a park in the middle of the city, huh? Rockefeller amassed vast fortune and his fingerprints are all over everything? 3 national parks in the United States: Grand Teton, St. John's, and the Virgin Islands? You can see the many state parks that affluent people like J.P. Morgan and Rockefeller left behind as you travel the length of the Hudson River. Harvard was endowed by whatever it is that Harvard is and a number of affluent individuals are. Academia was their target. Therefore, the question is, what do you hold dear? The affluent constructed cathedrals, to bring glory to God. Numerous hospitals have been generously funded by the well-to-do. Wealth, in my view, is energy that may be directed any way one sees fit. Regardless of one's religious, political, environmental, familial, or other values. The politicians and the bankers are the ones with the most power, aren't they? Some people on this planet can afford to spend $5 trillion annually, Do you know any ordinary person who has the disposable income to spend $1 trillion annually? I thought no one? $12 billion worth of bonds are purchased monthly by the Fed. Please provide me with a single private citizen who has the disposable income to spend $120 billion monthly. Therefore, there is a significant power disparity between us. The politicians are the ones with the most sway. Others hold positions of authority. The power disparity is mostly caused by the fiat standard. Thus, Bitcoin must be the answer, mustn't it? Surely this is the key to finally putting a halt to the Cantillon effect. If I were to print $1 trillion and invest it in certain assets, I would only do business with those whom I had previously expressed interest in purchasing from. Furthermore, if you possess assets such as bonds, the most advantageous transaction that occurred this year was just with long-term government bonds. On it, you obtained a 20% return. Your sale to the government is the reason behind that. That was too expensive for any sane individual to buy. You should calculate the exact amount of hundreds of billions of dollars that changed hands because of certain trades. So if you're able to seize the ability to create, then Bitcoin is the solution. I have taken control of 4% of civilization's power if I can print another $1 trillion on top of the $25 trillion already floating around. It was just my